a quick review of a comic. We won't go into any spoilers. This is a comic that's coming out next week that our friends over at Dark Horse sent over for us to check out. So we're gonna talk about this book called Dawn Runner, not Dawnbreaker, Dawn Runner #1 from Dark Horse Comics. Before let me give you a quick synopsis. We'll talk about the creative team and all that. A century ago, a portal opened over Central America, and the Tetsa that came through changed our world. Now, the world bends all its effort into making the Iron King's great mechs that must battle the Tetsa for humanity's continued survival in gladiatorial combat. Anita Marr is the greatest of the pilots and is chosen to pilot a new prototype that could change the tide of humanity's favor, an all-ages sci-fi epic from rising stars Ram V and Evan Cagle. Um, so as I mentioned, this is written by Ram V with art by Evan Cagle, colors by Dave Stewart, letters by Aditya Bidikar. And when I was reading this, I was not expecting. I was like, I love Pacific Rim, so I was like, oh, okay. But then it definitely takes some really fun twists and turns in that premise. But I definitely it made me feel like, okay, we're getting into a story that I've already kind of like. But Clay, I'm gonna throw it over to you. What did you think of Dawn Runner?
It is pretty awesome. I really dug the art. Like, the art is a mixture of Eon Flux meets Sid Mead. But they do the best world building in this thing. So like, that's the coolest part, is like they show you so much cool stuff. And I just love the stylized look of the people versus the very mechanical look of everything else in the world. Like, it's very like when I talk about Sid Mead, he like did all the production stuff for like Blade Runner and that style. So you can kind of see that in the background. I dug it. I mean, just for the style alone, the story is great, and I love Ram V's work. But man, I'd never seen art this great. That just like, it paid off for the book big time.
Oh yeah, that definitely a surprise. I was not familiar with Cagle's work, so when I looked at the pages, I was like, holy shit!
Yeah,
all the design looks very stylized, like you mentioned. The characters have very distinct look. So, but Jeff, what did you think of the book?
I enjoyed it. First off, I don't know if I call Ram V a rising star so much as I just call him a star.
Yeah,
he's working on Detective Comics, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much further you rise from there.
Yeah, I was just like, that's a weird way to put that. I love the artwork. The first part of it, I was just like, what in the Jonathan Hickman information dumping? There was so much happening. And honestly, it almost scared me away from the book, but I'm like, pushed through it. I'm like, I don't know what any of these words mean. I'm just gonna keep reading. Artwork is beautiful. I did get the artwork, though, did confuse me. Like when we have the mech fighting the giant monster kind of towards the end, I'm like, I don't really know what's happening, but again, I just kind of like push through to see where it goes. But yeah, it's a pretty good it's like Pacific Rim kind of, sort of there, but more I guess corporate, because everything's a dystopian corporate world that we live in now. But yeah, the artwork is great. The artwork is beautiful. A little confusing, but beautiful.
Yeah, I also, like I said, I quite enjoyed the book. I like the concept of it. I think when we get towards the last few pages, there's a big surprise, or at least something that kind of comes out of nowhere, right? When they're trying to, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but they do want to unveil this new model that I read on the synopsis, and that's where things kind of take a turn. I do hope that we get into a little bit more of like the Anita character and why she, like, how she kind of became their top person. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with the familial ties, but the people seem to really like her, and I think there's more to that than just nepotism or something like that. So, but yeah, and the action stuff looks really cool too. Like, The Tetsu's designs, I didn't know what to expect in my head as I was reading it because I think it's a made up word. I don't know if it means anything, but yeah, when you first see one of them, and I feel like they're just gonna get weirder, and because they mentioned that the one we see in the book is kind of a smaller one,
Mhm.
so I
Yeah,
can't wait to see
that it
what
was
that's gonna look like.
harmless.
Yeah, and the mechs look cool, like all the little images like that we saw, some of those designs. So yeah, very very excited to hear what people have to say about this, but I quite enjoyed this book as well. So very very thankful to Dark Horse for letting us check it out. Do you guys have anything final to say on this book? Josh, are
I
we
hope that
Evan
good?
Kagel. That art is amazing.
and
Josh,
I
are
hope
we?
that Rom V kid does
Oh,
does good
yeah,
stuff. That
Ryan V's
rising
got a bright
star
future.
Rom V.
Ryan V's got a bright future ahead of him, eh? But Josh, you didn't get to read the book, but have we picked your interest? Is this
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just in the pages you showed, I totally agree with Clay. Very Aeon Flux with the
yeah?
character designs. It's awesome. Yeah, I have it downloaded. I'll take a look at it.
Well, we're gonna end this, of course, as always. Beautiful variant covers that I'm gonna have a hard time picking from.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
am looking at Evan Kagel's art page. Unbelievable. His game stuff looks like Rankin and Bass artwork from the 70s. Like his people in that are
Oh,
very
okay.
stylized and look like the last unicorn. Like that artwork. It's
I
amazing.
feel like I've read something that he's done the art for. Hang on. Trying to
He
figure
did
out.
like I think it was Superman and the Authority.
Oh, he was doing it. I think was he doing that with Clayman, like the other pages?
Yeah, because he
Okay,
has some odd pages in here, and then he also
cool.
did Catwoman 32. It looks like some pages, maybe the whole
I've
issue.
just
Is that Frost?
I've seen his name before. I'm sorry, Clay. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just looking through his comics pages that are
Yeah, that's what I did too.
on his website. But yeah, look at his game art. His game art will blow you away because the style is amazing. It looks like a mixture of digital and real world.
Very
Wow.
cool. Very cool.
Unbelievable.
Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers: The Return #2. This is an ongoing series over at Boom Studios. Let's talk about the creator team before we get into the book. This book is co-written by Amy Jo Johnson and Matt Hodson, with illustrations by Nico Leone, colors by Dono Sanchez Almara, letters by Ed Dukeshire, character designs by Dan Mora, and of course we have a plethora of covers at the end of the issue, at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. So The Return is a standalone story that Amy Jo Johnson and Matt Hodson set up in the 40th anniversary of the Power Rangers, or 30th. No, it was the 40th, I think. Um, it's really cool. I really been in. Maybe it was the 30th anniversary special, but it's really cool. I really enjoyed the story. I like where things are going. I like that Amy Jo Johnson, who was originally the Pink Ranger in the series, is involved in this. If you've seen on social media, she's been very excited about the comics, going to comic shops, and looking at her issues and stuff like that. So in this issue, Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Ranger herself, continues leading this alternate universe story with the classic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers plagued by tragedy. Kimberly reflects on a shocking choice she had to make all those years ago when telling the story to the Rangers' final hour against Rita and Zed. But did they make it out on time, and what ramifications did their final battle have for Earth in the present, including Trini's mysterious niece, Selena, who we met at the end of the last issue? There's a lot of big revelations in this issue. I won't go into those details because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. If you read the first issue, you can probably put a few of those things together yourself, but it's definitely worth your read. I think what Amy Jo Johnson and Matt Hodson are doing the best as far as the writing is capturing the voices of these Rangers. This feels like I am back in my living room watching the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like back. Like they sound like the characters. Obviously, Amy Jo Johnson has a big advantage that she was there on the set. She knows what they're supposed to sound like. Um, there's a lot of emotional tie-ins, right? Because we get to see a few Rangers that unfortunately the actors in real life had passed. So there's also that. And of course, just the nostalgia of like looking back at the Rangers, the villains being like super extra and weird and just very lovable in their own weird way. But the stakes are also pretty high, especially in this story. So let me pull up some of the preview art here. And here we see, Lord Zed and Rita celebrating with their goons. Uh, Maybe prematurely, I would say. The Rangers are doing one last attack on the moon, but Rita and Zed have just really pulled out all the stops. They've let out all the monsters. This is the big battle. And of course, we have Kimberly and Tommy, Pink and Green Ranger. They're actually on a separate mission to really stop all this. Uh, and like I said, I think the dialogue is what really gets me invested in this, and a lot of the cool action. But just these panels of Tommy and Kimberly, like somebody's gonna have to make a sacrifice. Like I said, if you've read the first issue, you probably can kind of put together what's going on. And then from there, now that we know what really happened all those years ago, we understand why Kimberly has been a little bit disconnected, why she doesn't believe that anyone should be a ranger anymore. But also, how does Trini's niece play into this? And also, how does another person that is connected familially to everyone play into this? Yeah, that those are going to be big things that are happening. We also still need to figure out more about Jason, who is the one ranger that's still out there being active as the Red Ranger. So all those pieces playing in together, very well put together, just really balances out the book between this really cool nostalgia trip and just a mystery that's very intriguing and really want to makes you keep turning the page. So hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast with a very special review because we are talking about Spawn number 351. We have a new ruler, a new artist, and a new direction for this book. So this was the perfect time for me to jump on and check out what the heck is going on in the Spawn universe. There was apparently some big things happen in issue 350. I didn't go back and read that. I didn't feel that I wanted to see if this book would stand up on its own, and it sure did. Uh, this has a script and a plot by Rory McInville with Todd McFarlane on the additional script, art by Brett Booth, inks by Daniel Enriquez, colors by J. David Ramos, and letters by Tom Orshawitzky. Hopefully, I said that right. Apologies if I didn't. We also have some cool variants that we'll see at the end of the video. So, why am I reading Spawn? Every time that Spawn has a big milestone, I like to go back and check in on the book. I'm not I'm not a month to month reader for Spawn. I've read a few arcs. I've read some of the other books in the Spawn universe, like King Spawn and The Scorched and stuff like that. But I think a book that's been around for so long, since 1992, pretty much ongoing, and of course with even Todd McFarlane still pretty involved in the production of the book. I think it's cool. I just think it's kind of like a moment in comics that you don't want to miss, and you kind of always want to be following up on what's going on. And like I said, in this issue, this just focuses on the aftermath of issue 350. So I don't know exactly what happened in issue 350, but the book does a really good job at bringing you in with the status of the current world. Even if you didn't know what happened, like you could just imagine whatever you want in your head. The book tells you what's going on, right? Which is that Blood, which is a vampire, has kind of taken over because all the beings, celestial beings and demons, all beings from Earth and heaven, all beings from heaven and hell, have lost their powers. Um, for whatever reason happened. Like I said, that's not the part that I was interested in at the moment. I might go back and read that at some point, depending on how this goes. But just based on this first issue, it's really cool. Like just Spawn is just a fun book to read. I think this is a good jumping on point if you haven't been keeping up with the series and you've been wanting to check out Spawn. 351 is just a perfect issue. Like if you've been reading superhero comics for a while, you know that these books have entry points all over the place because they don't expect anyone to go back and read 350 issues. So I think I think McInville and McFarlane do a really good job at welcoming in a new audience while still telling the continued story of what's going on. And I think Brett Booth does a fantastic job of capturing this world, making it look cool. Here's some of the preview art. There's actually a page that I chose not to show um, because of it has a little bit more mature content. I didn't want to get flagged on YouTube, so instead I kind of skipped ahead. And then we have anytime Spawn walks into the page, super cool. I love that his cape it's lost. He's lost his powers as well. I think from what I read, but he's still a badass, right? Al Simmons was still a badass in it, like on his own right without the powers, but the cape doesn't seem to be alive anymore. Like like how it would kind of move around on its own, and he would be able to control it. I don't think the cape has those capabilities anymore. There's a reason that Spawn is running around with a sword, but like I said, he's still nobody to mess with, and that's displayed immediately as he walks into this bar, looking for a little bit of information on if there's a cure for vampirism. So, if you want to read Vampires versus Spawn, I think this is going to be the story to kind of kick things off, which is very exciting stuff. So, if you're a fan of Spawn, let me know what did you think of this as a follow-up to the events of 350. If you've never read Spawn and for whatever reason you're watching this or you read this issue, let me know. Did you feel like it was welcoming to a new audience? And how about that art? It just looks so kick-ass. I will say I sent in an email after reading this, so hopefully that gets published in the future. I think that's very cool. I love reaching out to creators and just letting them know how much we appreciate their work. And this one just really, like, it just really captured my attention. So, am I going to be reading Spawn from now in the future? Maybe for the first arc. Maybe we'll take a look. I'm already reading a lot of stuff, so it's definitely I definitely have to be very careful about what I add to my current ongoing reading. So, hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Kill Your Darlings #7. This is the penultimate issue of this fantastic series from KLC Press and Image Comics. But let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Ethan Parker and Griffin Sheridan, with art and colors by Robert Quinn, John J. Hill on letters and design. Um, if you haven't been reading this, what are you doing? Go pick it up. Uh, there's so much cool stuff in this book. It's amazing. I really love this book. It's one of my favorite books that Image launched last year, and it continues to maintain a very just strong when it comes to the storytelling. I think it's very strong when it comes to the art. Bob Quinn is doing some fantastic work. I also wanted to point out, I don't know why more artists and more creators don't really take advantage of the full wraparound. Like all the covers have been wrapped around, and I should have put them like this on all the videos. But man, when I saw this one, I was like, I have to make sure that people see this cover in full, right? Because it works both ways, right? It works as just the front, but it also works as the wraparound. Like I would almost want to display that as an open book. Yeah, Bob Quinn is just killing it. And then some of the interiors, what I'm able to show you, it's gonna blow your mind. But let me give you a quick synopsis for this specific issue. Fantasy turns to nightmare as Rose embraces her fate. The stage will be set for a shocking final confrontation in the penultimate issue of this horrifying epic. So, yeah, all the revelations have happened. The girl who will not burn has been revealed. We know her connection to Rose. We know her connection to the great big evil that's currently possessing Elliot. And in this book, luckily for us, or maybe not for Rose and Elliot, but luckily for us, the reader, they at least get a little bit of time to spend together. But what are the plans of this? What are the plans that are going to happen here? What is this great evil? How are they connected to the girl who will not burn that we've been following throughout all these issues? And of course, what's going to happen to all the beautiful little creatures that we've been following around, right? Yeah, this one was very emotional. You can tell that we're gearing up for an epic finale, and I'm very excited. So let me pull up some of Bob's art. as you can see, we continue to have this just really cool mix of the color and then the lack of color. As color comes out, these poor little creatures just in the gnarliest of ways, getting tortured and you being used for magic. Um, the facial expressions of these individuals, the character designs, even Elliot, just he continues to be like super grotesque. As I mentioned, luckily we do see him hang out with Rose, and he seems to be overall okay, but I mean I don't know how okay they can be. And yeah, I think Bob does a really good job at giving us like both sides of it, right? Even in this, um, even when they are together now in that cell, they have a moment of relief before everything kind of turns back into a nightmare. So it's really, really good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to see what happens on the last issue. I think this is something that will also read very well collected, but the month to month ride has been so much fun. Like just mind blowing. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next. I'm excited to see what these creators work on in the future as well. So very exciting stuff all over the place. And of course, a really cool and pretty gnarly cover too from Ryan Stegman at the end of the video that you'll see as one of the variants. So if you have read this book, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps. We have had two different streams with the creative team from Kill Your Darlings. Make sure to go check those out. They are on the channel. I'll try to link them in the description of this video. So yeah, very exciting stuff. And I can't believe we are so close to issue number 8. So, as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Cobra Commander number 3. This is a new book from Image Skybound. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Andrea Milana, Annalisa Leone on colors, letters by Rose Wooten. We also have plenty of cool covers at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. In this issue, what is the secret of Energon? Cobra Commander isn't the only one looking to harness the alien energy source known as Energon. That means he has to either take control of the new organization he's encountered or destroy them. I have a feeling it's going to be the former. So, as we saw, Cobra Commander fell into the swamp, taken by the alligators. Really cool sequence. I feel like Cobra Commander is obviously very adept at what he's doing, but sometimes he's also very inept at some of the things. It feels like everything is kind of part of his plan, but not really. I don't know. It's very hard. It's really interesting the way Joshua Williamson is writing him, especially because I don't know much about the character outside of this, right? And maybe some of the old films from the early 2000s. Um, but this was a really good issue. Like I know Cobra Commander is supposed to be a bad guy, but it's still pretty exciting to follow him. I think Andrea Milana's art and Leone's colors really make everything pop. As we go into the swamp, we get a few sequences. There's a big sequence of like torture as he's captured and brought in by the Dreadnoks. That we met a few of them, and he had an encounter with them on the last issue. And then the best part is that I think Cobra Commander, he doesn't have to use his weapons. He doesn't have to use brute strength. He has his wits, and that's what he does in this whole episode and this whole issue, as he kind of manipulates the situation to try to either buy himself some time or get some things in his favor. We also have a really cool revelation of the character that's been following him around for a little while. If you're a fan of the series, I'm sure you know who it is. If you're not, like people like me that I don't even know what's going on, I need you guys to tell me who the heck was that down in the comments. So make sure to go do that. But let's take a look at some of the preview art here. As I mentioned, this art looks fantastic. Like I just really love everything that's going on. from the fight and how bloody things are right from the get go, and that's happened since issue number 1. To this shot of Cobra Commander being dragged down by an alligator into the swamp, and then of course we see somebody or maybe a small ray of hope, but it looks like Cobra Commander was maybe already kind of working on how to get out of there. But before that, we do see that somebody else has now picked him up. We go to the Dreadnoks hangout, where we discover that they have the juice, a juicy Dreadnoks, but the juice obviously refers to an Energon cube. How did they get it? Who the heck knows? But it's very exciting stuff. And like I mentioned, really cool revelation of the characters that's been following Cobra Commander all throughout the series. I'm very excited to see what happens next. We're almost at the end. These starting off series are mini series. Then we're gonna get a few more things, and I'm sure we'll get a GI Joe proper book in the upcoming future. So, if you're enjoying this series, let me know what you thought about this issue down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe. Let me know which one's your favorite Dreadnought. I think that's really interesting. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.